All right, party peoples of the interwebs, Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, and it's Sunday. We're getting ready for another Viva and Barnes law extravaganza at 6 o'clock, pretty much every Sunday on Rumble Viva Frei or on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. So your friendly reminder to make sure that you are subscribed, you have notifications turned on, and that you tune in every Sunday night to get the latest breaking details on law-related stuff, politics. We will certainly be discussing the elections in France tonight. But more importantly, leading into the show, I'm going to be discussing the Patriot Front. Now, the Patriot Front has been making the rounds in social media, in the news yet again, at a very convenient time where instead of talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, although I guess we've been talking about that quite a bit, it seems like the wonderful distraction from Joe Biden, we now get to focus on a so-called America First group, the Patriot Front, and at the risk of channeling a little Joy Reid, acting what some might call a fool in public, jumping out of the backs of U-Hauls to give these parades where they're beating drums, marching in unison, wearing masks in the street. Yeah, those videos have started making the rounds yet again, and I see those videos and I reflexively say, those are feds, because the only people who cover their faces with face masks at protests are either lefty criminals or righty feds. I believe it. There are some exceptions for which people might wear masks if they don't want to be recognized, for example, at the Ottawa trucker protest because they work for the government and they want to support the truckers. I understand there are some exceptions to this very broad brushstroke of a rule, but in my life's experience, people wearing face masks tend to be breaking the law at protests, in which case they're wearing the masks not to get identified. When they're not breaking the law or doing anything remotely illegal and still wearing face masks, I am inclined to think feds, especially when the videos that are circulating are allowing every lefty idiot out there to come to the same conclusion. Oh my goodness, look at these bad far-right extremist racists. Ed Krasenstein, I'm looking at you. Sorry, I meant Brian Krasenstein. Either way, they're both idiots. At Krasenstein. Yes, these are white supremacists who are part of a mainly right-wing group called the Patriot Front, marching in Nashville, Tennessee today. No, these are not feds or the FBI or the CIA. These are bad people. Bad people actually do exist. There are horrible people who are extreme, who are also Republicans. There are horrible people who are extreme, who are Democrats as well. Stop pretending bad people don't exist and that the people protecting us are pretending to be bad people. It just makes you look completely and utterly ignorant. Well, whoop-de-doo, Patriot Front, you have allowed the likes of Ed or Brian Krasenstein, the Krasenstein brothers, who I believe are paid Democrat operatives, to come to the conclusion that the Patriot Front is reflecting poorly on far-right America First conservative activists. And I say that seems to be part of the plan. If the Patriot Front were trying to make right-wingers, America First Americans look bad, what would they be doing differently? And yes, I firmly believe that they are feds. Now, the problem with the term fed, it's a little bit circular, and yes, I appreciate I might be setting up an argument that cannot be disproven, because in order to be a fed, in order to be labeled, colloquially speaking, a fed, you don't need to be a federal agent on the federal government payroll. You don't necessarily need to be a confidential human source working for the FBI. You don't necessarily need to be an FBI informant. There are various ways in which something or someone can be a federal entity or a fed, so to speak, and it could just be that they are being co-opted by the feds to make the right conservatives, America First movement look like idiots in order to discredit them heading into November 2024 election, because we're barely 4 months out now. This is what I believe. This is what I said on Twitter, and I gave an explanation when challenged by someone who said they might not be feds. They might just be very, I don't know, awkward individuals trying to convey their message, but I offered my explanation for why I thought they were feds, which reads as follows. Viva Frei at the Viva Frei. Here's why I think they are feds. Respectfully submitted, no snark or sass. First, infiltrated is the same as fed. It's only a question of scope and degree. On the substance, they are wearing masks, yet not doing anything remotely illegal. This allows them to be demonized by the left/MSM in order to serve as the basis of slander against conservatives, the right and true American patriots, without actually exposing them to any form of legal consequences. At least we know why the left wear masks, so that when they break the law, it's more difficult to identify them. They look mildly ridiculous, jumping out of the back of U-Hauls into formation. They've appeared seemingly out of the blue at a politically convenient time and serve absolutely no useful purpose for conservatives / the political right. All they do is serve as fodder for video clips by lefties/MSM/other TDS-afflicted losers. If they are not feds, they are certainly useful to the feds since they are promoting a narrative that allows for demonizing patriotic Americans and building an argument for further censorship and prohibition of public political gathering. My 2 cents. So after I posted that tweet, I get a private DM from someone who I like and converse with on the interwebs who says, Viva, if you haven't seen the interview with Thomas Russo on Patrick Bet David, you should go watch it. It might allow you to know a little bit more about who the Patriot Front is, who their leader, not the leader, I don't mean to say it like that, who their founder is, what his thoughts are. And so I went and listened to the 1 hour and 37-minute interview with Thomas Russo on Patrick Bet David, and I came away from it with an opinion unchanged. And I appreciate, as Barnes says, and you can hear him say it probably tonight at some point, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, that motivation is the master of reason. I appreciate I've already come to my opinion, and therefore I might be interpreting everything I see, including new information, in light of the conclusion to which I have already come. I listened to Thomas Russo on Patrick Bet David. He seems like a genuine guy, but there were a lot of red flags in his interview that caused me to not question my beliefs, but rather confirm what I already believe to some extent. He might not be a fed, he might be totally sincere, but the entity that is the Patriot Front, my goodness, if Thomas doesn't understand that everything the Patriot Front is doing is undermining their mission, their objectives, their political perspective, well then they're doing something wrong, bottom line. So he might be totally sincere in his beliefs, but the organization might have been infiltrated and might be acting in a way to undermine the beliefs, the philosophy, the politics that Russo wants to put forward, in which case, what good is the Patriot Front doing, even as relates to the politics that Russo wants to put into the political atmosphere? Now, I'll play a few highlights from Patrick Bet David's interview, but there were a couple of very big red flags that came up in that interview, particularly when Russo tried to undermine the degree to which the FBI or the CIA try to infiltrate organizations such as the Patriot Front. And in the interview, Russo sort of undermines the extent and scope of which the FBI and the CIA do just that. And that clip is this one. Watch it right now.
But the FBI, I don't believe, engages in the type of undercover infiltration that a lot of people attribute to it as much as people think.
Now, if I were a Fed and I wanted to undermine the idea that our organization had been infiltrated by Feds, I would undermine the degree to which the Feds try to infiltrate these types of organizations. I just simply disagree with Russo's assessment. The FBI, the CIA, as a matter of policy, try to infiltrate groups that have certain ideological wrongthink, even if they don't. Civil rights groups, they've done that from the very beginning. So I disagree with Russo's assessment of fact that the FBI and the CIA actually try to infiltrate these organizations to a lesser degree than most people think. I think that's flat out wrong. And if I were a Fed organization trying to undermine the fact that we're a Fed organization, I would say that the Feds don't try to infiltrate organizations such as ours. The other problem is that that statement of fact with which I disagree is contradicted by something that Russo says a few minutes later as relates to why they wear their face masks in the first place. They wear their face masks apparently to protect themselves from the FBI, who will use their information to silence them, even though the FBI actually infiltrates these types of organizations a lot less than people think, according to Russo. Those two statements are sort of mutually incompatible.
Why wear the masks?
Masks are engaging in the practice of anonymity. And I think the government, because if we don't trust the FBI, if we think government institutions like the FBI are politically motivated and they do use people's personal information to silence them, to censor them. And not only that, but the media, they talk about, oh, well, why isn't the media identifying them? Because it's really difficult for them to do so, and it's a lot easier for them to publish the types of articles that they do. Anonymity is a right, I believe, that falls well under the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Okay.
Now, the other reason why I think the Patriot Front, if it isn't Fed, it's Fed adjacent, as in the Feds must love what they're doing because it allows people to come to negative conclusions as relates to conservatism and America first. I appreciate that they have some very tenable points of views, some tenable perspectives, some defensible politics. The problem is when you lump those defensible politics with politics that are not indefensible but unpalatable, you actually undermine the legitimacy and the discussion-worthy nature of those politics, which are not, in fact, so objectionable that they do not merit public discussion. But by lumping certain defensible but unpopular views with indefensible and unpopular views, you make it so that the discussion need not address the good arguments because they get to lump them together with and discredit them because of the bad arguments. The bad arguments being, as Patrick Bet David pushed Russo to finally basically admit, it's not America first, it's white first. And though there might be a lot of people who agree with that, there are a lot of proponents of America First policy that do not believe it means white first, but rather America of all races, creeds, and ethnicities, so long as they have that American spirit, that American dream. But in so allowing it to be lumped together with white first, you allow people to discredit not only the Patriot Front, but everybody who says America first, because as of now, it's going to be lumped together with white first. And so then the MSM, the Ed and Brian Krasensteins of the world can now say, look, Donald Trump is promoting America first, and according to Patriot Front, America first basically means white first. It's a racist ideology, and Trump is therefore racist, even though the America first that Trump promotes has nothing to do with race and only to do with ideology. And by ideology, I mean the American spirit, the American perspective of life, which transcends race, religion, and creed. But if you don't share it, my goodness, you could be born in America and be totally anti-American.
On the left, they may find a way to use you and pull you in other America First organizations. Have you considered changing the, branding to white first over America first?
Well, no, because the white people I'm talking about are those who specifically live in America and have a connection and a history with America.
Right.
So it's not Germans, it's not Lithuanians, it's not people from Denmark. It's Americans. And I believe in
white first.
These people.
White.
I believe. Sure, colloquial, it's white people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyhow, that is my assessment of the Patriot Front. My point of view has not changed. I might have Russo on the channel if he is so inclined, because I have no problem listening to people with differing perspectives. But my underlying view is that Russo, if he's not a Fed, he might not be on a Fed payroll, he might not be a confidential human source, he might not be a Fed informant. He might just be useful to the Feds so that they can have this Patriot Front recruit members, have these videos go viral, and therefore discredit conservatives and the true America First movement. But more importantly, he does strike me potentially as being sort of a Mark Sargent of the flat earth world in the world of politics. And I don't know if Mark Sargent is a Fed. I don't know if he's been co-opted. I don't know if he does it because it's how he makes a livelihood. I don't know. All that I know is that Mark Sargent, being eloquent and being very persuasive when he talks, representing the flat earth movement, he allows everyone else in the media to lump all conspiracy theories with the flat earth conspiracy theory, thus discrediting otherwise legitimate conspiracy theories, because they're actually real theories, with a movement that people largely, and I dare say rightly, believe to be a totally untenable theory, so that they can then not have to address and not have to discourse with the other defensible conspiracy theories. Those are my thoughts. If you disagree with them, let me know in the comment section. If you agree with them, let me know in the comment section. More important than anything, get out there, exercise, eat healthy. One thing that you cannot fault the Patriot Front for is that they don't have very many overweight members, which means at the very least they are engaging in healthy exercise and they are fit and they can run a 5 mile if they need to. But most importantly, get out there, sunlight, eat healthy, exercise, talk to people in real life. See you at 6 o'clock every Sunday, or see you during my daily live streams or my car vlogs. Viva Frei. Now you know your vlog, peeps. Booyah!
Oh, it's a fucking protest. What is this? Bro, how many people are in there? Dude, I'm about to honestly fucking move. I don't want these fuckers touching my car.